share your story with us.
Okay. Well, Lord, where do I begin? First and foremost, again, thank you for having me here in this safe space. You know, to all of you that are listening, thank you for being here and tuning in as well, everyone. And so I just wanted to come here and utilize this space where I can begin to tell my story. You know, from trauma to triumph. And Miss Tammie Mobley, you've already created this space for many individuals like myself, and so I just want to let you know that it is an extreme honor. I'm not just saying this as an intro, okay? Like, this is an extreme honor. It's for you to be here at this part of my journey. And so, you know, everyone, I am Zavi D. Morgan. I am a holistic life and business coach, and I also am growing several other businesses within the industry. I am from Richmond, Virginia, born and raised, all right? I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a citizen of Virginia, hardworking citizen of Virginia. And, you know, in my life, my story, I heard Joy Bell. Shout out to Joy Bell sweet potato pies, okay? Yeah, and shout out to the MBL as well. I just became a member about 2 months ago with the Metropolitan Business League. And so thank you. I'm interested in, you know, continuing to grow inside of that nest egg as well. But Miss Joy Bells made a statement in one of the meetings that we were in, and she said that I'm a unicorn. You know, I don't have a degree, you know, I don't come from a lot of money, you know, but I'm here. I'm here, and I'm making, you know, I'm operating in my purpose, and I'm making my place in the world. And so I can relate to that so much because, you know, throughout my life, there has been so many obstacles that would have and have stopped others, right? Some has, you know, ended in death, you know, like, just keep it real, by way of suicide, you know, but for me, I overcame those things and many others. And so, you know, how I got here today is by staying focused, staying faithful, you know, putting God first, going through those wilderness seasons with knowing that God still had his hand on me. And, you know, it ain't easy, okay, but I did it. I'm doing it. I'm here today. So that's just a little bit of my story. Listen, we only got 30 minutes, so tell me.
So before we got on air, you started sharing a little bit about it. You saying you were a confused child,
Yeah.
places, and that your mom was adopted by family members, and
Yeah.
feeling like you wasn't able to fit in. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, you know, and like I said before, this is a space where I've never opened up about this conversation. So thank you for the opportunity. When I was a little girl, I felt confused a lot, and like I was sharing with you before the show, that it was because, you know, what I came to realize, it was because of the way that I came into the world. My mom was adopted by her cousins and her husband. And so, you know, when I was born, there wasn't any, I didn't know that this thing had happened. I didn't know that Papa wasn't my papa and Nana wasn't my Nana, and they were actually my cousins. I didn't know any of these things until, you know, I was 9 years old, and I overheard my aunt talking to her children about it, and was saying that, you know, Muffin, which is my childhood name, Muffin isn't really Papa's granddaughter. And I didn't say anything. I was 9 years old, and I just backed on up back into my room, and I kept that secret, you know, of confusion for the next till I was 22 years old. And within that time frame, from the age of 9 to 22, you know, you go through different things as a child. You know, you can't find your place in the world. You're trying to fit in the world. You can't understand why. And although I knew that piece of information, I didn't know the impact that it was having on my life in real time. But, you know, as I began to look back, because I spazzed at 22, I'm like, nah, because all of y'all liars. And that is, that's what happens when you keep stuff covered and buried down inside of you. At 22, I even done forgot who did something to me to make me snap. But that was the information that I snapped about. But just growing up with that misinformation, not knowing your place in the world, not being sure of where you come from. I know we're family, but where exactly do I come from? Where is my roots is just, you know, further embellished not being able to, having a hard time to identify self in life.
So what happened at 22? Like you said, you spazzed out.
Mm-hmm.
When is that when everything came to full head?
Yeah. So, during the ages of, in my 20s, really, in my early 20s, I was already a mom. I became a single parent at 19. I was a teenage. I had teenage pregnancy. I was pregnant at 16, and I had an abortion. That's something I'm not proud of. It taunted me. But I want everyone to listen here, and every young woman to listen here, that God still loves you. Just because you went through that particular scenario, you had an abortion, whether you knew what you was doing or you didn't know what you were doing, God still loves you. And there is still opportunity. As you can see, it still affects me today. But there is still opportunity to redeem yourself. There is still opportunity to just fall completely in love with God. So by the age of 22, though, I had my first child at 19. And life was handling me, y'all. Life was handling me. And, I was going through the space of being a single mother. I was going through the space of trying to accomplish college, which I never did. But I was in this space of trying. I've been working since I was 13 years old, since I was able to, shout out to the Mayor's Youth Academy program here in Richmond, Virginia. Okay. Yes. You know what I mean? That gave me my first, experience in the workforce. And I completely fell in love with administration from there. Okay. So beyond everything I do, I'm administration and human resources. But at 22, that wasn't happening for me. I was like, this man is going crazy. He leaving me with these children. I don't got enough money. I still don't know what's going on in my family. Nobody is talking to me. And the relationship between my mother and I, she's always been present, but it hasn't been present in a healthy way. So as like I said, I began raising myself when I was 9, and I have a little brother. So I began being a big sister. And my mom suffers from, mental health. And I mean, like depression, anxiety, bipolar. And so in those spaces, I've always been the type of, I was a people pleaser. I didn't want to present my problem or my issue to anyone. But at age 22, when everything was happening to me, now I'm in this space where it's piling up and you don't have no release. It's piling up. Your mama's still getting on your nerves. You're a single mom. You're doing this by yourself. You're trying to go to school. You live in this low-income apartment, $25 a month rent. You feel me? Everything is going on. You know how that environment is. And I was feeling so inadequate. I was just feeling like everyone was slighting me. I was, in addition to what confusion I was already in, life was presenting itself to me because of some choices I made as well. So that was what was attacking me at 22, and I spazzed. And my shout out to my cousin though. My cousin mom she called me. She was like, "Come over here so I can tell you the truth." Like, come over here so we can talk, so I can tell you what was really going on, type thing. And so I went, and she told me, but it still was that space of my mom didn't tell me. My grandfather didn't tell me. My daddy didn't tell me. Like, the people that I trusted the most didn't have this conversation with me.
I was thinking, I know you said that your mother had mental issues going on, and you said that she, used to. Mm-hmm. So I wondered if she even had the right mental frame to even talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm, right.
To say, to create that space to even open up that communication or dialogue for her. I don't know your mom, so I'm not trying to stick up for it, but I didn't know what you were just saying.
Right, this is reality, because in my book, I released a book last year called Profiting Your Purpose. Mm-hmm. And Profiting Your Purpose is identifying 7 steps to understanding how what you went through in life actually works for you in life today. And, even though my relationship with my mom has been and is what it is, I'm at a place today where I'm healed in that situation. So a long time ago, shortly after 22, I started elevating spiritually. So God was getting me to understand the other part of situations. And what I mean by that is what happened to the individual that caused them to bring this trauma onto you. And so I had to be honest. In my book, I talk about a process that's the deal, heal, and release process. process, and you got to deal with what's bothering you. You have to deal with it and identify what the person did, what you did, what happened, what wasn't right about it, and where your deficiencies came about. And then the healing process starts. Healing is not first. That's not first. Dealing with what happened is first, and then you heal in the situation, and you give yourself space and time to do so. And the last and most important part of that process is to release it. Because if you don't release it, you still give way to your triggers. You still have an avenue for those things to come up in essence and bother you. So in regards to my mother, I had to, in the space where I was trying to heal, because I don't like who I am when I'm angry. I don't like who I am when I'm upset, and I learned that very early on. So in that space, I had to identify that my mom was adopted. How was that for her? Being in a space where you feel like no one wants you, in this space where now you have children, and now I know I have a light on me. So seeing that, seeing even if it's your child, God has taught me that envy doesn't have a bias. Right. And in so many ways, it was upsetting for my mom to see me do these things, her not being healed, and having to live this life. And like you said, she wasn't in a space where she was able to present this conversation to me. And so I can't blame her for that. But the deal process in my book that I was explaining is that I have to deal with that, though. Because even though she didn't know, I was still hurt. And in that dealing process, a lot of people will miss that because we want to, no, we got to think of the other person. You do. But you also have to make sure your cup is filled. And when your cup is filled, you can better understand that person. And so you're right. No, she couldn't. And still today, she's not in a position. I was going to
ask you, what's your relationship with her now?
I've learned about 7 years ago, I still was be honest, Zavi, about 5 years ago, I still was asking God. I was like, no, you set me up, God, because you're supposed to honor your mother and your father. Right. And still up until 5 years ago, it still was that type of static going on. My mom still had these particular type of traits, although she wasn't directly affecting me. Birds of a feather flock together because of the energy that is around, right? And so I still was asking God 5 years ago. I was like, God, now listen, you gave me this mama, right? And she's not necessarily right, okay? And I'm trying to figure out how I still get to heaven. Cause you know what I'm saying? So I thought that I was slighted, and that's around the same time where I was on another spiritual elevation, right? And so God just started showing me things of how I can receive my healing without the person saying I'm sorry. How do you do that? How do you release it, God, without the person, with the person still being the same person? Nothing has changed about her. And I tell people.
How is she with your brother? Is it the same?
It is. It is. My brother is currently incarcerated. So his journey and had him end up there. You feel what I'm saying? And but how I handle it is that I'm different. I talk about this all the time. Nothing is different. Nothing happens differently in the cycle but you. Nothing happens different in the cycle but you. And as you elevate, as you grow, then you will condition your space, your environment to either grow, or you'll be able to let them go because they're not elevating with you. And so in the how you deal with your mama, okay, how you deal with your parents in this particular environment is to understand that process and focus in on yourself, right? Because it's like I love my mom. If anything was to happen to my mom, it would take a tremendous piece of me. I'm not in a space where if something happens today or tomorrow where I'll be sorry because I didn't give it a chance or I didn't forgive her in time enough. Because, when you have a space that deals with someone that you can't immediately cut it, but the Bible tell you cut your right hand off if it's sin against you, okay? But when you're in a situation where you can't really disconnect yourself to that capacity, that teaches you ultimate forgiveness. It teaches you, it puts you in a position where you have to heal. If you don't heal, you're going to be exemplifying all of that energy, that negative energy, your hurt, your pain. You're going to be responding from a place of attitude. And I don't want to be disrespectful to my mom. I don't want to, just because she did what she did, I'm alive. I ain't that. I'm here. I'm here. So God was trying to teach me something, and I learned it. You know, so our relationship today it's okay because of what I make it. You know, yeah.
And that's good. That takes a lot of strength for somebody to say, you know what, I'm going to accept you the way you are. I'm going to forgive, but I'm not going to have the attitude back towards you.
That's right. That's right.
If you are just tuning in, you're listening to Curative Conversations, a safe space to talk, heal, and inspire. I have in studio with me Zadie Morgan, and we're talking about really brokenness in a family and healing, restoration, inspiring. I mean, and there was a part of the story that you said you were a single parent and you were homeless. You were trying to think how you provide for your children. Is this when you just have one child, or? No,
honey, it's when I had 2 and 3 of them. Listen, what happened was my family separated. This was in the late part of 2016. And the early part of 2017. I didn't quite have the 4-year-old boss baby yet, but she was coming later that year, right? Right, she's a boss baby, okay? But what happened was that because I've been working for myself for 10 years now, collectively growing, different sectors of my corporation. I've never had a grant. I've never had a loan. If you would like to invest, please let me know. But never any of those things. So I've been getting it out the mud, making a name for myself. And during that time, it gets hard. Anybody in entrepreneurship, when you're first starting a business and you don't have nest eggs and you don't have support, stuff is hard. It really is. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, you rob Peter, like the old people used to say, you rob Peter to pay Paul, baby. Okay, and so that was going on in my life. But when my family separated by way of stupid stuff, because he was doing stupid stuff, but I had to disconnect myself and let God take the course. I lost a large percentage of income. I did. And my children's, my oldest two father, he's never been in a position to help me in that way, right? And so the mess was catching up with me. It wasn't just, I'm doing my best and God, please get them because they're not helping me. No, you chose these men. Let's be honest. That's dealing. That's the dealing part. No, you chose these men, so you have to live through your experience and gain the testimony.
And live through the choices that you made. Right?
Yeah. Or you're going to stay here and be complaining about it for the rest of your life. Woe is me. You understand? So when my income fell, I told my landlord, private landlord, thank God, by this time I had elevated into a little house. And so I told her, I said, listen, all I got on my own is $500 a month. This is all I got. I don't know when it's going to increase or whatever. I was in between transitioning from departments. And what that means is at a certain part of my journey, employers started Googling me. They started Googling me because of the light that was on me. And so they'll pull me into the office and say, Miss Handsome, that was Miss Handsome then. Miss Handsome, I see you have your own business. And, one owner told me that it was, what did she call it? It was self-destruction. Like if she kept me, she was like, if you all these hours you put in in my business, you can be doing it for yourself. Honey, I cried 10 minutes down the street. So I was in that space. I didn't have no other choice but to have this $500 of income. And then God blessed me with the home care case in my home care company. And I was able to cover the entire rent, but no utilities. Look at God. So eventually I came home one day. I was trying to get help from the agencies here in Richmond. No, listen, that's a whole nother story. No one would help me. I was in this space where I wasn't completely broke and on welfare, but I wasn't rich, and there's no space for us. People like that, there's no space for us. It's like, you got to quit your job that you do have before I help you, huh? Like, what you talking about? So I was in that space. And when I came home one day from going to the last agency to see if they can help me with the light bill, the lights were off. The lights were off at home. My children, coincidentally, thanks God, my children were gone. They were with their father that weekend. So I came home to a dark, cold house, y'all. It was February. It was cold outside, and I called my mama, and I was like, Mom, can we come over there for a few months? And it took everything inside of me because of the story that I just told you. But it took, I had to identify what God was doing in those spaces too. But I digress. It took everything inside of me to make that phone call. And she told me to come on over there. But it was unstable to a degree. Because by the time I went over there, we spent a few months of the summer or whatever, but it was getting time to go back to school, and she was getting ready to move. And that was a conflict in me and my brother's life for a long time, because we were always moving. We were always city, county, always different schools, all of that. So a portion of my homelessness and me bouncing and finding my way was me breaking that generational cycle. And so when we went over there, I had to, before, it was like a couple of weeks before school was getting ready to start, and she moved and told me I couldn't stay with her. So me and my children had to go stay in a motel. And we stayed in the motel off of and y'all, this was 2017, 2018. I was on TV. The business was still going. I was still having my, Talk of the Streets entertainment operation. But y'all, I was homeless, broke, busted, and disgusted. Do you understand me? And, we were in that hotel, and at this time I was pregnant, honey. You got to have me on here again to understand what happened in these months gaps. By the time we got in that hotel, and nobody knew. By the time we got into that hotel, I was pregnant with the golden child, because she came under a covenant of God, right? But I was running out of money. So the children weren't able to have what they needed, the clothes they needed to go to school. Somebody had to help me pay for that hotel. And then it got to a point where we were running up on a month, and they couldn't help me anymore. And I had a part-time job at Food Lion, because they didn't know about me. My sister-in-law got me in there. And so I had a part-time job at Food Lion. I asked the hotel clerk, I said, listen, I get paid tomorrow. You know what I mean? I can pay it tomorrow. Can I stay till tomorrow? And so many people done probably told them that story. That lady told me no. She told me no.
And even though you were pregnant with your kid?
But nobody knew.
Oh, yeah.
And the children were with their grandmother. They weren't with me. So this day, Miss Tammie, lie to you not, I had been following God all through my pregnancy. My pregnancy is divine orchestration. You can learn the story on another day. Have me come and tell my story there. But I was pregnant. Nobody knew. The children were gone, and I couldn't pay for this room till the next day. So they put me out of the hotel. And this time it was like 2018. So now I'm looking up at the sky, because I'm like, okay, up until this point, I have made every move based on what God has told me to do, right? I'm pulling myself out of this mess, and I'm like, God, I'm making these moves based on what you told me to do. And this lady just told me I couldn't stay here. What am I to do? It started raining, and I'm outside of the Motel 6 on Chamberlain Avenue with all of my stuff. All of my stuff. So I'm just, by this time, I am so numb. I'm high energy. If you know me, you know that. I'm high energy, but I had no energy. I was just sitting there looking like I was talking to God. I couldn't believe it.
Because we don't have that much time. So how did you get out of that space and to even now to be a voice for the community for RVA Awards?
Oh man, it is God. It's nothing that I did myself. I just never stopped. I never quit. I remained focused. I understood that in my wilderness, I believed the words that I read. I believed what I felt in my heart. Beyond, child, got me water working. Beyond what was happening in my life, I felt the love of God. Beyond what my natural eyes could see, my third eye was open. And I knew I had this book. You gotta keep a journal. You gotta keep a journal, because you gotta write your goals down. And when I asked God, when I confirmed, right, because God gives you the provision, and you have to carry out the vision. And when I asked God, and God confirmed my my goals, and I knew that no matter how it would look going forward, if I just kept going, that I would succeed. Everything would manifest, and it did.
And now, October 22nd, right?
Yes, 2022.
RVA Award Show.
Come on.
About that. We have like
Come
2
on.
minutes left, so
Okay. Let's see if I can get it in this 2 minutes, y'all. Listen, so the RVA Award Show is a opportunity that I've created, me and God. We've created this opportunity for the professionals, most deserving professionals in Richmond, Virginia, in the industries of music, media, and community leadership, okay? So we are not MTV, we are not BET, but we are RVA. And through this mission, I want to give the professionals and our honorees that have served our communities between 10 and 20 years the flowers they deserve. I want them to smell them at home before they make it to mainstream, right? Before they get into the grave and we start putting flowers on top of the tombstone. I want to give them their flowers now. And so by way of this opportunity, by way of this event, I've been able to create that opportunity. So, it's Unitary Productions is a small organization. It's one of my companies, and the RVA Award Show is one of our biggest events that we do throughout the years. Now, in the past few years, we've been on a pandemic, so it's been incubating during this time, right? In 2019, we got to the big reveal, and we didn't get to have a full production because I did not have enough administrators on the team. It takes more than me. Oh, baby, but this year, I'm so excited, and we have joined forces with organizations like Real Girls, the Curative Conversations, okay, to introduce the youth and just create the space and opportunity to influence the operation in a bigger way. Because right now, the way that we collect our data is very, very kind of informal in a way, because we only collect votes from the community. So the professionals have to be in the community. You gotta be supporting your community.
Right.
You understand?
How can somebody reach you? They want to be a part of it. They want to attend the show. Tell us how they could be there.
Okay, absolutely. So right now we have our link tree that's available. You can jot down this website though, rvaawardshow.net. rvaawardshow.net. The website is going to be available up and running on Monday. Right now, you can still check us out through Linktree. So that's linktr.ee/RVA Award Show. And you can find everything there. You can find award show history. You can see some some images from our previous show. You can find the tickets. You can get sponsorship information. I'm still not telling everybody who our honorees are because our Roses in Concrete, I'm going to reveal it before the show, but still, our Roses in Concrete are highly important. Our headliner performances, this is not a showcase. This is to highlight all of the GOATs. So, our highlight performances are going to be revealed as well. And so any information that you want to stay connected with, you can find anything on Facebook, Instagram, Linktree, and again on the website Monday morning, rvaawardshow.net.
Thank you so much, Zabi, for sharing your story. Thank you for your strength and for giving.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for doing everything that you're doing in the community and
uplifting
us and giving everyone their awards and recognizing us. And thank you for being a light. And I just want to say thank you again for sharing your story. You are listening to Curative Conversation, a safe space to talk, heal, and inspire. So you do have comments in there, so you go back in and go ahead and respond to them. Good morning, Dawn. And I can't see, it's like 3 other comments in there. I can't see them, but go ahead and back in. Tune in every Sunday right here on Curative Conversation, a safe space to talk, heal, and inspire. If you want to reach directly out to Zabi, she did share her information. We will see you next Sunday at 10 a.m. Remember, your imperfection don't stop your greatness.
Sure doesn't. Thank you.
So you have Rejoice 101.3 FM, where we talk, heal, and inspire, a curative conversation. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in.
So make sure go back on Facebook. So I'm gonna start taking some pictures of you and then answer it that way.
Y'all ain't tell me I had that lipstick on my teeth. I'm gonna get y'all. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. All right, peace, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. All right, and remember, all right, you can do it too. I'm just a vessel. You can do it too. All right, just a little old black girl from Churchill, baby. All right, letting God use me, living in my purpose. Ain't nothing different from me or you, but the 24 hours and how we spend them. So listen, tap into the universe. Peace.
Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve